Some cars are engineering masterpieces. Others are engineering disasters wrapped in expensive metal. Today we're looking at 10 cars so ridiculously over-engineered that owning one became a full-time job. We're talking about machines where a simple oil change costs more than a used Honda, where one sensor failure means your entire car becomes a paperweight, and where mechanics would rather quit than work on them. These aren't just complex cars, they're automotive cautionary tales. Number 10, the Cadillac Alante. Picture this, a Cadillac with an Italian soul. Bodies designed and built by Pininfarina in Italy, then flown 4,600 miles to Detroit in specially modified Boeing 747s for final assembly, every single one. They called it the Alante Air Bridge, the most expensive assembly line ever conceived. But the transatlantic production wasn't even the complex part. The Alante had more electronics than most homes in 1987, touch-sensitive controls that worked half the time, a fully electronic instrument panel with no physical buttons, 10 separate computer modules controlling everything from the automatic convertible top to the air suspension. The electrical problems were legendary. Owners reported constant failures. The driver information center would display phantom errors, low coolant when the tank was full, ABS failures that weren't actually happening, window switches that needed constant cleaning, radio systems that drained batteries overnight. The air suspension would randomly drop the car to the ground in parking lots. The diagnostic system required 3 different specialized computers just to read error codes. Mechanics needed special training courses. Most refused to touch them. Over 7 years, Cadillac built 21,430 cars, each one priced around $55,000. Each one became a rolling electronics nightmare that proved sometimes ambition costs more than money. Number 9, the Mercedes-Benz 600. Built from 1963 to 1981, this was complexity before computers existed. Everything ran on hydraulics. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Windows, seats, trunk, sunroof, even the door locks, all hydraulic. This beast had a central hydraulic system operating at 2,400 psi. That's enough pressure to pierce human flesh. The workshop manual literally warned mechanics it was mortally dangerous to open the system. Mercedes wasn't being dramatic. One leak and you'd have high-pressure hydraulic fluid spraying everywhere like an industrial accident. The system included 30 hydraulic switches, 12 double-acting cylinders, 10 single-acting cylinders, a pump, reservoir, and accumulator, all connected by lines running at twice the pressure of a fire hose. The 6.3-liter V8 needed 50 horsepower just to run the hydraulic system. That's more power than some entire cars produced. The complexity was intentional. Mercedes wanted to flex their engineering muscle. Close a window too fast and it could break an adult's neck. The trunk lid could bend your arms if you tried closing it manually. This wasn't just complicated, it was dangerous. Only 2,677 were made. Owners included dictators, celebrities, and people with more money than sense. Today, a full restoration easily exceeds $100,000. Number 8, the Bugatti Veyron. 16 cylinders arranged in a W configuration, 4 turbochargers, and 10 radiators. Yes, 10. This hypercar needed 3 radiators just for the engine coolant, 2 heat exchangers for the air-to-liquid intercoolers, 1 for the transmission oil, 1 for the differential oil, 1 for the engine oil, 1 for the air conditioning system, and 1 more for hydraulics. The Veyron's complexity didn't stop at cooling. The 7-speed dual-clutch transmission cost over $120,000 to replace, more than an entire luxury sedan. An oil change required 27 hours of labor and cost $21,000. Not because the oil was expensive, because accessing the drain plugs meant disassembling half the car. The tires were specially made by Michelin and could only be mounted in France. The service cost $70,000. The tires themselves were $25,000 per set and needed replacing every 2,500 miles under normal driving. Push the car to its limits and they'd last 15 minutes. Annual service ran about $20,000 to $30,000. That's just routine maintenance. The engine produced 1,001 horsepower from 64 valves. At full throttle, the fuel tank drained in 12 minutes. The math behind this car was insane. Volkswagen lost money on every single Veyron sold, millions in engineering for a car priced at $1.7 million. The numbers never added up, but they proved it could be done. Number 7, the Lexus LFA. 5 years into development, the engineers made a decision that would add years and millions to the project. Switch from aluminum to carbon fiber. The problem, Lexus had zero experience manufacturing carbon fiber. They had to learn everything from scratch. They built an entire factory just to weave the carbon fiber. One factory for one car. They created a robotic loom with 144 spools spinning strands of 24,000 carbon threads. This loom was one of only 2 in the entire world. It made exactly one part, the hollow door surrounds. That's it. Every LFA engine was hand-built by a single technician. The acoustic engineering was so important they hired Yamaha's musical instrument division to tune the exhaust note. The car had 12 separate computer modules just to manage the engine. The paint process took 3 weeks, 20 coats, each hand-sanded. Building one body took 4 days in a cleanroom environment. Only 500 were made. Each took 3 months to build. The price was $375,000. Lexus lost money on every single one. The total R&D cost reached around $1 billion. That's $2 million per car just in development costs. Number 6, the Citroen SM. Take a Maserati V6, add Citroen's bizarre hydraulic system, and wrap it in a body designed in a wind tunnel. What could go wrong? Everything, as it turned out. The SM had hydraulic suspension that would raise and lower based on speed, hydraulic steering that changed ratio with velocity, hydraulic brakes that could stop the car from 70 miles per hour in less than 130 feet. In 1970, this was revolutionary. The engine was a 2.7-liter V6 with 3 carburetors. Good luck synchronizing those. Maserati designed it by literally cutting 2 cylinders off a V8. They had 3 weeks to do it. The hasty development showed. The 90-degree cylinder bank angle caused uneven firing, lumpy idle, vertical shaking. The complexity killed it. The timing chains were notoriously weak. If they failed, and they always failed, you lost steering, brakes, and suspension simultaneously. The oil pump failed constantly. The ignition system was unreliable. The air conditioning never worked right. The hydraulic system powered 6 different functions. Everything ran on one central pump. When it broke, nothing worked. Windows stuck. Headlights wouldn't turn. The steering locked up. Only 12,920 were built between 1970 and 1975. Most became paperweights. Finding one that runs today is rare. Finding one that runs well is nearly impossible. Number 5, the Porsche 959. This was Porsche's moonshot in 1986. Twin turbos, computer-controlled all-wheel drive, adaptive suspension that could adjust itself on the fly. This thing had more sensors than a spacecraft. The 959 was so advanced it was illegal to drive in America for years. Not because it failed safety tests, Porsche never submitted it for testing. They were already losing hundreds of thousands per car and couldn't afford to crash 4 more for US certification. Each car took nearly a month just to assemble. The body panels were made from Kevlar and aluminum. The cooling system alone had 17 different temperature sensors. The tire pressure monitoring system was so complex it needed its own dedicated computer. This was in 1986 when most cars still had carburetors. The all-wheel drive system used multiple clutches that could vector power to individual wheels. It could send up to 80% of power to the rear wheels under hard acceleration. Revolutionary for the time. Completely mental to maintain. The sequential twin-turbo setup used one small turbo for low RPMs and both for high RPMs, eliminating turbo lag decades before anyone else figured it out. Only 292 were built. Each one cost over $420,000 in 1986 money. That's well over $1 million today. One owner reported spending $30,000 just to service the turbo system. The complexity was the point. Porsche wanted to prove what they could do. Number 4, the Ford Fairlane Skyliner. In 1957, Ford decided a regular convertible wasn't complicated enough, so they created a retractable hardtop that disappeared into the trunk. Sounds simple. It wasn't. This system used 7 electric motors, 4 lift jacks, 10 solenoids, 10 limit switches, and 610 feet of wiring. That's over 185 meters of electrical cable. The whole operation took 40 seconds and involved 13 different relays. If even one component failed, your roof was stuck, and they failed constantly. The trunk space was a joke. When the roof was down, you could fit maybe a briefcase. The system added 600 pounds to the car. Dealers hated them. One mechanic famously said he'd rather rebuild an entire engine than fix a Skyliner roof. Ford developed this for the Lincoln Continental but couldn't justify the cost, so they gave it to the Skyliner instead. The development cost $20 million just for the roof mechanism in 1957 dollars. Ford sold them for 3 years before admitting defeat. The mechanism was actually reliable when it worked. Ford claimed it was good for 10,000 cycles, but when something broke, finding a mechanic who understood the complexity was nearly impossible. Today, finding one with a working roof is like finding a unicorn. Most owners just welded them shut and moved on with their lives. Number 3, the Tucker 48. Preston Tucker wanted to build the car of the future in 1948. He succeeded, then promptly went bankrupt. The Tucker 48 was too advanced for its own good. Rear-mounted engine, all-independent suspension, a third headlight in the center that turned with the steering wheel pop-out windshield designed to eject on impact instead of shattering, padded dashboard, seat belts. In 1948, this was science fiction. Tucker originally planned disc brakes, fuel injection, magnesium wheels, and self-sealing tubeless tires. All features that wouldn't become standard for decades, but time and money ran out. He had to abandon most of them just to get cars built. The engine was supposed to be a revolutionary 589 cubic inch flat six with overhead valves operated by oil pressure instead of a camshaft. It never worked properly. Tucker switched to a modified helicopter engine, a 335 cubic inch flat six that produced 166 horsepower. It worked, but it wasn't what he promised. Only 51 were built, all hand-assembled in Chicago before the SEC investigation shut everything down. The trial became a media circus. Tucker was acquitted of all charges in 1950, but the company was already dead. The cars were sold for 18 cents on the dollar. The Tucker proved that being decades ahead of your time doesn't guarantee success. Sometimes it guarantees failure. Today, the surviving 47 cars are worth millions, but Preston Tucker died broke in 1956 watching other manufacturers slowly adopt every innovation he'd pioneered. Number 2. The Aston Martin Lagonda. William Towns designed this wedge-shaped nightmare in 1976. It was supposed to be the future. It became a cautionary tale. The dashboard was entirely digital, LED displays everywhere, touch-sensitive switches that worked about half the time. This was cutting-edge technology in theory. In practice, the electronics were so unreliable that Aston Martin stationed engineers at the factory gates. Why? To fix cars before customers drove them home. The development was handed to graduate students at Cranfield Institute of Technology. When the first running prototype was shown to the press in 1978, smoke started pouring from the dashboard. Executives had to push the car off stage. The electronics alone cost 4 times the budget for the entire car. Aston Martin brought in an aircraft instrument specialist from Texas to fix it. The original electronics package weighed 180 pounds. The computer system used more power than the headlights. Owners reported batteries dying overnight. The pop-up headlights would activate randomly at 3 a.m. The climate control had its own computer and would randomly switch between Arctic blast and Sahara Desert. No middle ground. They tried fixing it 3 times. First LEDs, then cathode ray tubes, finally vacuum fluorescent displays. Each system was less reliable than the last. Only 645 were built over 13 years. Legend has it more than half never ran properly. One journalist called it a triumph of hope over electricity. Number 1, the BMW i8. BMW's vision of the future was a plug-in hybrid sports car with butterfly doors and complexity that would make a Swiss watch jealous. A 1.5-liter 3-cylinder turbocharged engine working with electric motors. The packaging alone was insane. The engine sat behind the passengers driving the rear wheels. Electric motors drove the front. The battery pack ran through the center tunnel like a spine. The complexity came from making everything work together. 6 driving modes. Each one changed engine mapping, electric assist, suspension settings, and even the artificial engine sound. Yes, artificial. The 3-cylinder needed help sounding sporty. The carbon fiber passenger cell was glued to aluminum subframes. 3 different materials, 3 different repair techniques. One fender bender could total the car. The butterfly doors contained the entire air conditioning system. The cooling system had 3 separate circuits, one for the engine, one for the battery, one for the electronics. A software update required 3 different diagnostic systems. BMW lost money on every single one despite the $150,000 price tag. The complexity wasn't just mechanical, it was the entire ecosystem. When it breaks, good luck.